The cold lobby. Keanu Reeves had been on the road for days, filming a small indie movie in a remote town. The set had been rough, cold nights, long days, and very little sleep. He was tired but content because he loved the work. That night, a snowstorm had forced him to find shelter in a nearby luxury hotel. He didn't look like a movie star right then. He was wearing an old beanie, a faded black hoodie, and worn-out jeans. His boots were wet, and his face looked a bit rough from the cold. But that never bothered him. He just wanted a warm place to rest. The moment he pushed the glass door open, a blast of warmth hit him, along with the scent of fresh coffee and polished wood. The lobby was grand, with golden lights and marble floors that glowed under the chandelier. There was a family laughing near the fireplace, a couple checking in, and a young woman with a suitcase who looked exhausted. Keanu smiled gently at her as he stood behind her in line. He never liked cutting in front, even if people often let him. He waited patiently, hands deep in his pockets, quietly humming a tune to calm himself. When it was his turn, the young front desk agent barely looked up. She was new, maybe trying to prove herself. Her eyes skimmed over his clothes, his wet boots dripping on the floor, and the slight stubble on his face. She frowned. Double quotes, yes. Can I help you? She asked sharply. Keanu nodded politely. Hi, I'd like a room for the night, please. Something simple is fine. She glanced at the computer, typing fast, but before she could say anything, an older manager walked up behind her. He was tall, with slick hair and a suit that looked more expensive than it needed to be. He gave Keanu a quick, dismissive glance, no recognition at all, just annoyance. Sir, I'm afraid you'll have to wait outside, the manager said firmly. We have certain standards. You can't loiter in the lobby dressed like that. Our guests expect a certain image. If you're a delivery man, you need to use the service. Entrance. Keanu's eyes softened, but he didn't flinch. The young woman with the suitcase, who had checked in before him, turned back, her eyes wide. She recognized him. She opened her mouth to say something, but Keanu gently lifted his hand, signaling her not to. I'm not a delivery man, he said. Kindly, I'd just like to book a room. I can wait here if you need to check availability. The manager sneered. Sir, please, we don't want a scene. Please wait outside. I'll call security if I have to. For a split second, the whole lobby seemed to freeze. The family near the fireplace stopped laughing. The young woman stood frozen near the elevator, looking from the manager to Keanu with disbelief. Keanu looked at the marble floor, then back, up at the manager. He didn't yell. He didn't fight. He just gave a small nod. Okay, he said quietly. I'll wait outside. He turned and walked back through the heavy glass door into the cold night, the wind whipping his hoodie around his face. He stood there in the snow, his breath visible in the icy air, and looked back through the glass. He could see the manager laughing with the young desk agent, probably mocking him. But Keanu Reeves had never been the type to hold anger for long. He pulled out his phone, made one call, and waited. The wind stung his cheeks, but he stood there calm, still humming that same quiet tune. Inside, the lobby returned to its warm, golden glow, but a storm was coming that was bigger than the snow outside. Inside that hotel, no one knew that this quiet man, waiting politely in the snow, was not just another tired traveler. He owned a stake in this chain of hotels. Not just that, he had saved this very location from bankruptcy years ago, helping hundreds of staff keep their jobs. And tonight, he was about to show them the true meaning of respect, humility, and kindness, but also consequences. Behind him, a black car pulled up. A driver stepped out, looking shocked to see Keanu standing in the snow. Sir, please, you shouldn't be out here. Come inside the car. Keanu just smiled, his eyes never leaving the lobby window where the manager stood smugly. Not yet, he said softly. Sometimes you have to wait outside to see who really stands inside. And just like that, a simple moment in a hotel lobby was about to change many lives forever. Asterisk whispers behind the glass. Keanu stood outside the hotel entrance for a few minutes longer than he needed to. The driver opened the car door and waited, shivering in the cold. Inside the warm car, he could see blankets, a thermos of hot tea, and the soft glow of heated seats. But Keanu stayed where he was, snowflakes landing on his shoulders, melting against his skin. He watched the people inside, how quickly they forgot the man they pushed out. He believed you could learn a lot about people when they thought you were nobody. Inside the lobby, the young front desk agent leaned closer to the manager. Her voice was a nervous whisper. "Sir, I think that was Keanu Reeves, you know, the actor, the owner. He helped this hotel chain, didn't he?" The manager scoffed. "Don't be foolish. That was a drifter. Look at his clothes. The real Keanu Reeves would never stand there like that, looking like a beggar. Now, focus on your job, not gossip." His harsh tone silenced her. She lowered her eyes to the computer screen, her fingers trembling. Deep down, she knew she'd seen his movies, knew that kind face. She wanted to run outside and apologize, but the fear of losing her new job held her in place. Meanwhile, the young woman with the suitcase, the only guest who had recognized him, stood near the elevator, hesitating. She clutched her small purse tightly, her eyes darting from the manager to the door. She didn't have much money, but her mother had once told her to never let fear stop you from doing the right thing. She pulled her scarf around her neck, stepped back outside into the cold, and walked up to Keanu. "Mr. Reeves," she said, softly, her teeth chattering. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to say back there. They shouldn't have treated you like that." Keanu turned to her with that warm smile, the one fans talked about when they said he was the nicest man in Hollywood. "Don't worry, you did nothing wrong. It's not about me, really. It's about how people treat each other when they think no one's watching." Her eyes filled with tears. "But you're standing in the snow. Please, get in your car. You'll get sick." He laughed gently. "I'm okay. I've been through worse storms." He looked at her suitcase and the torn handle wrapped in duct tape. "Are you staying here alone?" She nodded, embarrassed. "I'm here for a job interview. Tomorrow. I saved for months to stay here because it's close to the company. I thought if I looked professional, I'd get a chance." Keanu's eyes softened even more. "Then you did the right thing. Always believe in your worth." He pulled out his wallet and handed her a card. "If you need help tomorrow, call this number. Tell them Keanu gave it to you. It'll be okay." The driver stepped closer, trying to shield Keanu from the wind. "Sir, please." Keanu finally nodded. "All right, let's go in." But instead of walking back through the front doors, he motioned to the driver to follow him to the side entrance, the same entrance the manager had insultingly told him to use. The driver looked confused but obeyed. They stepped through the service hallway, dull, cold, with boxes stacked against the walls and a faint smell of cleaning supplies. A few housekeepers looked up, shocked to see him there. Keanu greeted each one with a gentle nod, asking their names, shaking their hands, asking how their night was. They smiled wide, some even laughing at the absurdity of seeing Keanu Reeves in a dim service corridor. He listened carefully to every word they said, about broken heaters in the staff, lounge, old uniforms, paychecks that were sometimes delayed. He made mental notes that he reached the back office where a senior manager, a kind, older woman named Marta, sat surrounded by paperwork. Her eyes widened when she saw him. She stood up so fast her chair nearly fell. "Mr. Reeves, what are you doing here? They told me you were filming out of town." Keanu shrugged, brushing snow off his shoulders. "I needed a place to rest, but I think we have bigger things to fix tonight. Tell me, Marta, how long have you worked here?" 30 years, she said proudly. "Since before the renovations. I remember when this place was nearly shut down. You helped us then." He reached out, squeezed her hand. "And I will help you again. I want every worker here treated with the respect they deserve. I want every guest treated with kindness. Tonight, I want you to stand by me. There are people here who forgot that we all stand equal when it's cold outside." Marta felt a spark of hope rise in her chest. She nodded, straightening her back. "I'm ready." Keanu took a deep breath, turned back toward the main lobby. The storm outside raged on, but the real storm was about to hit the marble floors and golden lights. As they walked back through the service corridor, the housekeepers whispered to each other, smiles blooming where there had been only exhaustion. Someone had finally come to stand with them, and that someone was Keanu Reeves. The calm before the fire when Keanu stepped back into the grand lobby. This time through the side entrance, the warmth inside felt different. The golden lights seemed dimmer, the marble floors colder, and the laughter that once filled the space faded into awkward silence when people noticed him standing there with Marta by his side. The young woman with the suitcase was still there, standing near the elevator. When she saw Keanu walk back in, her face lit up with hope. She clutched the card he gave her like it was the key to something better. The front desk agent turned pale when she saw Keanu walking toward them again. But the manager, the man with slick hair and a smug smile, didn't look up from his computer. He was too busy reading a report, probably feeling untouchable in his suit and polished shoes. Keanu cleared his throat softly. The young agent flinched. She whispered, "Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to." Keanu raised his hand kindly. "It's not your fault. Some lessons must come from those in charge." The manager finally looked up, irritation flashing in his eyes. "You again. I thought I told you to leave." "Security." But before he could finish, Marta stepped forward. Her voice was calm but strong. "He doesn't need to leave, sir." "Maybe you do," the manager scoffed, looking her up and down like she was nothing. "Marta, stay out of this. You don't make the rules. This man doesn't belong here dressed like that. We have standards." Keanu's eyes softened, but they were sharper now. The quiet man who had waited in the snow was still there, but something deeper flickered behind his calm. "Do you know what real standards are?" Keanu asked. His voice was gentle, but the whole lobby seemed to lean in closer. "Real standards mean treating every person like they matter. Every guest, every worker, every stranger." The manager laughed, an awkward, forced sound that didn't echo far. "Who do you think you are to lecture me on standards? Do you think you own this place?" Keanu looked at Marta and gave her a tiny nod. She stepped aside, and behind her, the driver appeared with a man in a dark suit. The regional director, the man who had worked with Keanu years ago to save this hotel chain. He was older now, but his loyalty to Keanu had never faded. The manager's face dropped when he saw the director. "Sir, what's going on?" The director didn't smile. He looked at the manager the way you look at a stubborn stain that just won't come out. "Do you know who this man is?" he asked coldly. The manager looked at Keanu, then back at the director, trying to laugh it off. "Some homeless man pretending to be. This is Keanu Reeves," the director said firmly. "The same man who invested in this hotel when you were still working at a desk job in another city. The same man who paid salaries from his own pocket when the company nearly collapsed. The same man you told to wait outside in the snow." The lobby was silent. The family by the fireplace pretended not to stare, but they did. The young woman near the elevator covered her mouth in shock. The front desk agent looked like she might cry. The manager stammered, "Sir, I didn't recognize." Keanu stepped forward, his eyes calm but steady. "And you shouldn't need to recognize me. You shouldn't need a famous name or a suit to treat someone with respect. You showed everyone here who you really are when you thought I was nobody." The manager tried to speak again, but the director raised a hand. "Enough. Gather your things. You're done here, and your friends upstairs who follow your example, they're done too. We don't need managers who forget how to be human." The front desk agent gasped, covering her mouth. The young woman with the suitcase wiped a tear from her cheek. Keanu turned to Marta and the young agent. "There will be changes here. People who do right by others will have a place here. People who mock and judge will not." He looked at the young woman near the elevator. "And you, your room tonight is on me. Tomorrow, you'll get that interview. And if they don't see your worth, come back to me. We'll find you a better place." The woman's knees almost gave out from relief. She whispered, "Thank you. Thank you so much." Keanu nodded, his eyes warm again. "We all need someone to stand with us sometimes, tonight." That's all I wanted to remind them. The storm outside was still roaring, but inside the lobby, a new warmth started to grow. Not from the golden lights or the expensive decor, but from the quiet truth that respect, humility, and kindness always win when you stand your ground. The weight of Wurge manager's eyes darted around the lobby like a trapped animal. The people he had once ignored were now watching him, housekeepers peeking from the hallway, Guests pretending to check their phones, but really listening to every word. The power he thought he had melted away faster than the snow dripping from Keanu's boots. He opened his mouth to beg, but the director's stare shut him down before the words could come out. The manager turned, humiliated, and stomped toward the office to gather his things. Nobody moved to help him. Even the young front desk agent stood frozen, her hands clasped tightly. Keanu turned to her and asked softly, "What's your name?" "Jessica," she said, voice trembling. "Jessica, you did what you were told. That's not your fault. But always remember, you can do what's right, too. You saw what happened tonight. You have a choice now. Do you want to stay here and help rebuild? Or is this place not worth it for you?" Jessica felt tears sting her eyes. "I want to stay. I want to do better." Keanu nodded, then stand beside Marta. Learn from her. She's got more heart than 10 fancy suits. Marta chuckled, her eyes warm but sharp. "You're too kind, Mr. Reeves. I'm just an old lady who knows where the real dirt hides." Keanu laughed, and for a moment, the lobby felt lighter. But behind the warmth was something deeper. The weight of words spoken and how they can lift people up or tear them down. The young woman with the suitcase, whose name was Lily, stepped forward. "Mr. Reeves, I feel like I should do something. You just did all this for people you don't even know." Keanu shook his head gently. "You don't owe me anything. The world works in small circles. You help one person today, maybe they help you tomorrow. That's how kindness survives." He turned to the gathered staff, housekeepers, cooks, security guards who had come closer, curiosity in their eyes. "How many times have you been told to wait outside?" Keanu asked, his voice rising just enough to echo in the grand hall. "How many times have you felt small because someone thought you didn't matter?" Heads nodded slowly. A young cleaner near the hallway raised his hand shyly. "Every day, sir. Some guests treat us like we're invisible. Managers, too." Keanu stepped toward him, rested a hand on his shoulder. "Not anymore. Starting tonight, you'll see real changes. Fair pay, safe conditions, respect. You deserve more than empty thanks at Christmas parties. You deserve dignity every single day." His words wrapped around them like a warm blanket in the storm. Marta felt her throat tighten. She remembered the days when the hotel was nearly sold to developers who would have demolished it. Back then, it was Keanu's silent investment that saved not just the building, but the families who depended on it. And now here he was again, standing for them when he could have driven away. The regional director cleared his throat, stepping up beside Keanu. "We'll hold a meeting tomorrow morning with everyone. Every complaint will be heard. No more secrets. No more pretending everything's fine while people struggle behind the scenes." Keanu nodded. "And Marta will lead that. If anyone doesn't like it, they can leave with the ones who think suits make them better than people." The staff clapped. Not loud but real, the kind of clapping that comes from people who know hope when they see it. Lily stood close to Keanu, still holding that card tight. "You know, Mr. Reeves, you could have just gone to another hotel. You didn't have to do this." Keanu looked at her with a soft smile. "We never have to do anything. That's what makes choosing kindness so powerful. You do it because you can." Outside, the snowstorm started to calm. The streets glowed under streetlights, each snowflake falling gently now instead of biting like knives. It felt like the whole world took a deep breath. Inside the lobby, a warmth spread that had nothing to do with the golden chandelier or the fancy furniture. It was the warmth of people remembering they matter, that their work is not invisible, and that sometimes one person waiting outside can change everything inside. The promise kept. The next morning, the lobby looked different. Even though nothing big had changed yet, the same marble floors shone under the morning light. The same fireplace glowed softly, and the same gold-trimmed chairs sat in their perfect rows. But what really felt new was the people, the way they stood taller, spoke softer, and looked at each other with fresh eyes. Keanu sat near the window, sipping plain black coffee from a paper cup. He hadn't asked for the fancy breakfast or the best suite. He'd spent the night talking with Marta and the regional director, going through old staff files, looking for people who had been overlooked for promotions, people who had been ignored when they asked for help. Marta had a notebook open on the table, pages covered in tiny handwriting, This is all the stuff they hide from you, she said, pushing her glasses up her nose. Repairs they don't do, overtime they never pay, stories of housekeepers being yelled at. You always said you wanted honesty, so here it is. Keanu read every line, sometimes shaking his head, sometimes sighing so deep that his breath fogged up the window glass. He glanced outside. The snowstorm had left a soft white blanket over the streets. Everything looked so pure and clean from far away, but he knew it took work to keep it that way up close. Thank you, Marta, he said softly. You've always protected this place. Marta shrugged, though her eyes shone. Someone had to. Most owners forget once they get too busy, but not you. At that moment, Jessica walked up with a tray of fresh tea. Her hands still trembled a bit, but her chin was lifted higher than the night before. Good morning, Mr. Reeves. Marta. I checked the records, like you asked. I found 3 more complaints that were buried. I'm so sorry I didn't see them sooner. Keanu looked up, his smile warm. That's why you're here now, Jessica. It's never too late to do the right thing. She set the tray down and turned to go back behind the desk, but Keanu called out, Jessica, after this week, I want you to train under Marta. You've got the heart to help people. That matters more than any uniform. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. She nodded, whispering, thank you. Just then, Lily came down the stairs, her worn suitcase still in her hand. Her eyes darted around nervously until she spotted Keanu. She rushed over. Mr. Reeves, I had my interview this morning. I don't know if I did well. I just wanted to say thank you again before I go. Keanu stood, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. How did it feel? Scary, Lily admitted with a shy laugh. But good, too. I spoke up. I told them who I am. If they don't hire me, it's their loss, right? That's exactly right, Keanu said. He pulled something from his pocket, a small folded piece of paper. I have another idea for you, just in case. There's a training program starting soon for people like you, strong, kind souls who need a door to open. They'll call you. Lily stared at the paper, then at him. Why do you care so much? You don't even know me. Keanu's eyes turned gentle but strong. When I was young, someone opened a door for me when I least deserved it. The only way to repay them is to hold the door open for someone else. Maybe one day, you'll do that for another stranger. Lily hugged him tight, surprising herself. I promise I will. The morning meeting with the entire staff began soon after. The ballroom was filled with cooks in aprons, cleaners in worn uniforms, receptionists and security guards. They sat on simple chairs, sipping hot tea, faces wide-eyed as Keanu stood in front of them. Marta and the regional director stood beside him. I know last night was unexpected, Keanu said. His voice was calm, every word clear. But I needed you all to see that how we treat each other matters more than any rule or dress code. Every single person in this room keeps this place alive. Every single one of you deserves respect. He paused, letting the words settle into the cracks that had formed over years of being told to wait. Outside, this hotel will change. I can't promise it will be perfect, but I promise we will listen to you. I promise people like Marta will lead with their hearts. And I promise we will never again let a man in a suit tell a good person they don't belong. The room was silent. Some people had tears on their cheeks. Others nodded, hands clasped tight. A few even dared to smile, hope flickering where there had once been only tiredness. When the meeting ended, Keanu stayed to shake every hand. He asked for names, families, and stories. He didn't rush. He treated each person like they were the only one in the room. Outside, the sun began to shine on the fresh snow, clean and bright. Just like the promise Keanu had made, no one would stand alone in the cold ever again. The warmest light it had been 3 weeks since that cold night, when Keanu Reeves was told to wait outside. In that short time, everything inside the hotel began to change, not with loud announcements or fancy marketing, but with small acts that rippled through every hallway and every heart. Housekeepers who used to rush through double shifts without a break now sat together in the staff lounge, sharing hot tea and laughter. New uniforms arrived, warm and comfortable, so no one had to wash the same shirt every night just to look presentable. Jessica stood behind the front desk every morning, with her badge polished, her smile real. She still made mistakes. No one's perfect, but she fixed them with honesty instead of fear. Guests noticed the difference. They saw her greeting families with kindness, helping old couples with heavy bags, treating each person like they mattered. One night, Lily came back through the front doors, this time with a job offer in hand from the company that had once overlooked her. She stood at the desk, suitcase gone, new coat buttoned up tight, and handed Jessica a cup of coffee. "I just wanted to say thank you," Lily said. "You stood by him when no one else did." Jessica laughed softly. "He stood by us first. We just followed his lead." Upstairs, Keanu sat in the same simple corner room he had chosen that first night. He didn't need the penthouse suite. He didn't care about gold taps or silk sheets. He cared about the people. That night, Marta knocked on his door. She brought him a mug of tea. "Still steaming? Double quotes, long day," she asked. Keanu chuckled. "Long life, Marta, but a good one." He looked out the window at the city lights glowing against the fresh snow. "Do you remember when you first worked here?" Marta nodded, eyes distant. "My first manager told me I'd never make it past the laundry room. Said I was too slow, too old, too stubborn." He was wrong about the stubborn part, Keanu teased. They both laughed, a sound that felt like warmth on a cold night. He turned serious again. "People forget that no matter how many walls you build, someone is always left outside. Sometimes, that someone has the power to knock the walls down." Marta nodded. "And sometimes, that someone stands in the snow to remind us that no wall is worth it if it shuts good people out." The next morning, Keanu checked out quietly. No press, no big announcement. He left behind notes for each department, handwritten in his careful scrawl. To the cleaners, he wrote, "Your work shines brighter than the marble floors." To the cooks, "Your meals feed more than just stomachs, they feed the soul." To the security guards, "You protect more than doors, you protect trust." As he stepped outside, the cold air hit his face again, but this time, it felt different. The doorman, a young man who used to be invisible to the managers, held the door open wide. His eyes warm. "Goodbye, Mr. Reeves. We hope you come back soon." Keanu smiled and shook his hand firmly. "Take care of each other in there, okay?" The doorman nodded. "We will." Keanu walked down the steps into the sunlight. The snow was melting, drops falling like tiny diamonds onto the street. He looked back once. Through the glass doors, he saw Jessica helping an elderly guest find her way, Marta talking to the kitchen staff about a new lunch menu, and Lily at the coffee bar, chatting with a group of young people who looked just like she had, tired, scared, but hopeful. Somewhere deep in his heart, Keanu knew this was what real wealth looked like. Not money, not marble floors, not gold chandeliers. Real wealth was a warm place where no one was told to wait outside, where people were seen, heard, and respected, even when no one famous was watching. And as he stepped into his car, driving away from the hotel that now felt alive again, Keanu Reeves carried with him the quiet joy of a simple truth. Sometimes, standing in the cold is the only way to light a fire inside.